Welcome back to Mediabistro.com's Media Beat. I'm Danya Blaze with Mr. Bill Werde of Billboard. Bill, you recently featured the music collective Odd Future on the cover, which raised a lot of people's eyebrows because Billboard's known for featuring bigger artists, mainstream acts, and Odd Future is still kind of niche emerging. Is this part of a larger trend for you to cover more emerging acts?
Well, I'm glad people took notice of the Odd Future cover, and they certainly did. It's something we've been doing for a couple years now, really. The music business is changing rapidly. We're a weekly publication. There's weeks where there's just not a big superstar to put on the cover. But more than that, I think that a lot of what's sort of most exciting right now in and around the music business are these kind of new or alternative business models where people are just turning the game upside down. Maybe they're not going the label route, or maybe they're kind of building up their own very meaningful base and very meaningful story, so they have a lot more leverage when they do go the label route. Odd Future is certainly part of that. I mean, as a hip-hop collective, they've just got so much fan interest and so much buzz online, so that if and when they do finally sign a proper label deal, they're going to do much better for themselves, by having sort of aggregated their story already, aggregated their base already. The other thing, I love to put covers as a weekly business magazine. I love to put covers that are sort of more about a trend than about a particular artist. Even when we do a superstar on the cover, we're sort of generally trying to put them in the proper context of the music business. Nowadays,
a lot of people quote such and such as #1 on iTunes. It used to be, you would say, #1 on Billboard, and you don't really hear that as much. Are you guys doing anything to capitalize on the web and the impressions that aren't always record sales that an artist has?
Well, I'm going to correct you a little bit, if I may, because I think that statistically, it's just not true that you don't hear #1 on Billboard as often. I think that it's a little bit of a media-created story that iTunes success somehow equals Billboard's detriment. I think that iTunes success is happening right alongside the growth of interest in the Billboard charts. I think there's some important points of differentiation between what iTunes does and what Billboard does. #1, iTunes is only measuring what's happening on iTunes, obviously. And so that is a certain subsection of a market, which is fine. I mean, it's an important subsection of a market. And let me just be clear, I have no issue. I think the iTunes chart is great. I reference it all the time. But it's a different kind of tool. I think iTunes is great for measuring immediacy. Right? If you want to see just like a quick thing, like someone was on Glee last night, how did that song do? The next morning you can go to the iTunes chart and see that there was an immediate response. But like I said, it's just a different kind of tool.
Bill, thank you so much for coming by.
That was a real pleasure. Thank you.
One more question.
Yeah.
Britney, Gaga, or Madonna? Quick.
Madonna.
Okay. Nicki or Kim?
Nicki or Kim? Oh, definitely Nicki. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. I just think I think Nicki Minaj is I think she's awesome. I think she's a force. And I think, honestly, she will prove to be much more of a multi-threat, really, than Kim was. Kim broke at a time in rap music where if you were a woman, it was hard to break out in rap music unless you were selling sex pretty hardcore. And, hardcore and sex are two words that generally got associated with Lil' Kim. Unfortunately for her, that becomes a little bit of a limiting thing. Like brand X, brand Y, they don't necessarily want to associate with with that kind of raunch. I think that Nicki Minaj is just going to have a much broader and more powerful career because of that. Okay,
good stuff. Thank you, Bill, for coming by.
No, let's keep playing that game. Like
Biggie or Tupac?
Biggie, but I just love Ready to Die.
I thought you were going to say Pac, but okay.
No, first of all, I'm East Coast. Let's just be honest about that. Second of all, Ready to Die is just, to me, it's like greatest album of all time.
Okay. Well, Bill, again, thank you so much for coming. This is Bill Werde.
You don't want to play that game some more?
We can, but these lights are starting to melt me a little bit.
And not hot in a good way. It's just actually hot. Yeah.
I don't want to start dripping sweat. That's not too attractive.
Okay.
Bill Werde of
Let's get out of here before that happens.
Bill Werde of Billboard. You've been watching Media Beat on Mediabistro.com.